Alrighty, so hello everyone. If you don't know yet, I'm Adam Wiley, the current president of the German Club, and I'd like to welcome you all here today for our club's 2020-2021 annual faculty lecture. For anyone who has not attended this event before, every year the German Club likes to invite one or more world language and literature faculty members to present on their research and present that to the students and other faculty members. I know we also had one last fall, which was technically 2019-2020, but that got delayed because of COVID. So usually wouldn't be this close to the last one. But I say this year we have Professor Bazzani and Dr. Larson, both from the Spanish program presenting. And I guess we will start out with Professor Bazzani, a lecturer for Spanish, and she will be presenting on teaching Spanish through experiential learning opportunity.
Thank you very much, Adam. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sandra Bazzani, and it is a pleasure for me to be here with you this afternoon. I am very fortunate to work for NKU. I teach elementary Spanish and intermediate Spanish, and Spanish for legal professions. During my entire career, I have looked for ways to make the learning process effective for my students using these 4 key factors. I have always wanted the students to acquire knowledge and experience outside the traditional classroom. Each semester, I plan different activities and cultural events where students are immersed in the culture for a couple of hours. In 2015, my students went to My Artisanal Foods, and the owner, Eduardo Rodriguez, taught a class about cheese making. The students were prepared to ask questions, and they also had the opportunity to try authentic cheese from Venezuela. Of course, all the information was in Spanish. In 2016, my students started attending an event at Fountain Square with the food truck Empanadas Aquí. The students had to learn the vocabulary related to food, how to greet, order food in Spanish, and they had the experience of trying authentic and delicious food from Venezuela. In 2017, a group of my students collaborated with Campbell County Library to celebrate Day of the Children. Each student read in Spanish stories of children, and videos were made to celebrate El Día de los Niños. The same semester in fall, my students supported a nonprofit organization that supports immigrants called Santa Maria Community Service. The students created flyers in Spanish, taught English, they created flashcards for ESL programs, greeting cards in Spanish, and they even recorded how-to videos for Spanish speakers. In the same semester, my intermediate Spanish students participated in an NKU program called the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project, which is funded by local corporations. The students researched, wrote, and talked about the needs of the community of Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. And ultimately, they selected a local nonprofit organization which received the funds from the program. I am from Venezuela, a country that is facing one of the worst crises in the present. According to studies from the main universities, it is estimated that 96% of the population live in poverty. It is well known that there is a significant need for humanitarian assistance in my beloved country. And this is how everything started. I connected with a nonprofit organization that I have known since I am a little girl. The name is Fundación Proyecto Maniapure Foundation.
Buenos días. Amanecer lunes en la Milagrosa. Buenos días.
In spring 2018, after making a phone call and contact Ana Maria Garcia, the educational director of the foundation, we agreed that we will start conversations with the students to understand the needs of the community in Maniapure. The students learned about the foundation before the first call, in that time via Skype. And this is what happened.
Hola, mi nombre es Kristen. Yo estudio negocios. Quisiera recolectar libros para los niños.
So the communication started, and students learned about this wonderful place on earth called Maniapure, located in Venezuela, and of course, its wonderful people and its mission. The students worked really hard to learn about the foundation, to create a campaign, and contacted people to support their projects. I am really proud to say that I am only the facilitator of these projects. All the creation and effort is from my students. This was the first donation that was sent to Venezuela, with most of the donated items collected by students. It was very, very exciting to see pictures when the boxes arrived to Venezuela, to the foundation. My students felt great accomplishment, and they felt they had made a difference of the life of these children in a very small way. The kids received donation with soap, toothbrush, crayons, pencils, and that was a surprise for them. It was very exciting for my students to see these faces. The service learning project is combined with the topics of the class. Skype is what we use, but now we use Zoom for sure. We open chat via WhatsApp so the students can ask questions to the people of the foundation and they can communicate. They create a campaign and they have to write a reflective essay and prepare a presentation, and that is part of the evaluation. Something very exciting is coming. Ana Maria Garcia at NKU. Ana Maria Garcia in March 2020, right before the pandemic, visited NKU. Students had the opportunity to know the person who is behind the scenes in all the projects. On a personal level, I have to say that she's one of the most incredible people I've ever known in my life. Her vocation and determination to help the children in Maniapure is an inspiration for me. We called this trip a trip with a purpose, un viaje con propósito. We planned an event at NKU so all the students that had participated in the past or in the present in these projects could see the face of the foundation and learn more about it. Ana Garcia visited a very interesting class taught by an amazing colleague that I have, Dr. Kajsa Larson, and the class is Medical Spanish. At the beginning, we thought the students would find this class interesting. Without knowing, telemedicine was going to be the option for everybody in the next few weeks. She explained, Ana Maria, how telemedicine works in Maniapure and how doctors in Maniapure connect remotely with the specialists in Caracas. She said in the presentation, thanks to the advancements of technologies, telemedicine will soon be a common practice in the healthcare. There will no longer be talk of telemedicine, it will be simply medicine. It really actually sounds like a premonition. In fall 2020, we continue planning events, but this time virtually, having the opportunity to learn more about telemedicine and teleeducation. During International Education Week, representative of Maniapure, Ana Maria Garcia and Ricardo Sanabria, offered a presentation and discussions and talked about the current situation in Venezuela, including how the country has been affected by COVID-19 pandemic and how technology had expanded the health services in educational opportunities for Venezuela. They discussed how Maniapure Foundation had expanded these opportunities through teleeducation and telemedicine. Anna presented in a different class a newsletter and explained all the emergency the education is facing after the pandemic with the strategies to fight for that. We had a Spanish class with two doctors from Maniapure Foundation, Michelle Arevalo and Victoria Gonzalez. They shared their work on this rural area and some experiences. It was very interesting because they even mentioned some cases and emergencies that are common in the area and they have to handle with very basic resources. We took advantage of the virtual event and we invited the founder and pioneer of telemedicine in Venezuela. Among other things, it was an honor for me and for all my students to have in my class Dr. Tomás Sanabria. The experience was unforgettable. We continue planning again events and we continue to collect funds to support Maniapure Foundation even in the pandemic. And now I would like to share with you the last campaign. It was in fall 2020.
The people of the Mayerson communities account for more than 10,000 Creole and Indigenous people of the Paner ethnic group.
For almost 2 decades, the non-governmental nonprofit organization Fundación Proyecto Maniapure has devoted time and resources to the inhabitants of the Sedona Bolivar region in Venezuela.
The Maniapure Project also works to improve the people's education, job training, and reinforcement of cultural identity and values.
Gracias, amigos.
So as you can see, they planned a virtual 5K race. The event was worldwide and we ended up raising $3,300 for the foundation. I would love to share one of the testimonials from my students. The project was a rich experience. It showed me the power of experiential learning. Learning about Venezuela gave me another example of how fortunate we are in the United States and all modern countries. It was another example of my affinity to other Spanish-speaking cultures. I will not forget this opportunity. It was a time of connections with the world of Spanish. I am excited to continue my Spanish education. And finally, many thanks to the Fundación Proyecto Maniapure. This semester was a memorable experience. Thank you for all your time that you shared with us. You are angels. We won friends and memories, and it was the best semester. Good luck to you, the Creoles, and the Indigenous people. These are some of the results. The students improve their communication or conversational skills, awareness of different realities, commitment to service, career development, sensitivity to diversity, critical thinking, gain new skills, among others. What they do in Maniapure is amazing, and I am very proud to be part of this project. Muchas gracias por su tiempo. Danke schön. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Professor Bazzani. If anyone now has any questions or comments they would like to ask Professor Bazzani, you may do so. Just feel free to unmute, ask your question.
I am happy to answer any questions.
You can also ask through the chat if that's more comfortable.
Of course.
I have a question. I get my video back on. And I don't know, this might be better answered after Kajsa speaks, because I know this is something she works with, but in the list of skills that your students gain, they're focused on what's very, very important in our classes, which are soft skills, softer skills, interpersonal skills, raising global awareness, that sort of thing. But I know that in these projects for grant applications and such, you often have to report statistically. Has that happened, and how do you do that in a project like this?
Thank you so much for the question, Nancy. I think that is crucial for this type of projects. I haven't gathered any data yet, but I am planning to do that. I am working, and I have been getting together with Dr. Connolly. We have a plan for the future, and I am sure that I will be able to show it in the future. Thank you.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? That is a lovely question. I would love to create a course that I could teach Spanish through this experiential learning. That is my plan. And I would love to do something like I am doing for Spanish for legal professions, but to combine what I am learning from this project and Maniapure.
It's wonderful. I just really love your work, and the pictures were just so inspiring, and the videos, and seeing the students just really like vibe with everything. That was just fantastic, amazing.
Thank you. And I see a transformation, like the point of view of the students when they don't know about this topic and when they learn about this topic is something that I definitely need to measure, right, Nancy, and make sure that we have results that we can count. That is very important too. Yeah.
It's not important to me, but I know it is important to other people. And I mean, and it's something you need to do to maintain and to be able to get grant funding and that sort of thing. So that's why I was curious. But
definitely, yeah, I agree.
Perhaps my question is not directly connected, but so we have, of course, here in the area a fairly large German community. What about the Venezuelan community? Is it fairly large as well here?
Oh yeah, it's large because Procter & Gamble is bringing many people. I don't know the numbers, but there are many Venezuelan people, and more are getting here. So yeah, definitely a huge Venezuelan community in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Northern Kentucky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments for Professor Bazzani, of course, at the very end, you may also ask questions if you think of anything. But for now, we're going to go ahead and have Dr. Larson go ahead and give her presentation on similar topic, the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project and academic success at NKU.
All right. Hello, everybody. And thank you so much for inviting me here today to talk about my research. So I wanted to mention first and foremost that I am one of a team of authors to this research, and and I have my trackpad too close to my hand. I'm one of a team of researchers that collaborated. This has been a project that has been at least a year and a half, if not 2 years in the making. So I wanted to share that it's based on an article, a co-authored article that we just published in the Journal of College Student Retention, Research Theory and Practice. And this is available online. And as an author, I think I can share if anyone would want a PDF copy to actually read it. I do have that available, or you can practice your source finder skills, your information literacy skills, and order it through NKU. So gear up. I'd like to start out by sharing a little bit about the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project. And I usually will shorten it, just so you know, to the Mayerson Project, but the official name is the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project. So typically, this is a campus-wide program, and typically a class is given $2,000 in grant money. And the funding comes from various sources, individuals from the community, and sometimes organizations such as ArtsWave. You may have heard of ArtsWave in the Cincinnati community. So sometimes the funding will come from an organization, and an organization that specifically wants investment in a certain area. So ArtsWave wants investment in the arts, right? And so our job is to pair classes across campus with those funders, and the students are the drivers of this project. So as I mentioned, the class will get $2,000, and by the end of the semester, the students will award those funds to 1 or 2 community nonprofits. And the philanthropy component is aligned with the learning outcomes and designed specifically to amplify what a professor is teaching. And it also is designed to contribute to students' civic education, so specifically to understanding needs in our community, how nonprofits address those needs, and how students can join in addressing those needs. Okay. So I thought as a good introduction, I'd like to show a student video. This is from the fall 2020 semester when we did the Mayerson project in a virtual world. So there wasn't any direct contact. So all of the studying, researching, and reporting and celebrating of this project was done via video. So this student video is from CMST 340, Strategies of Persuasion, which is taught by Professor Jeff Fox, and this is Danielle Polian.
Over the past semester, I have been able to participate in the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project, and it has been such a wonderful opportunity to be able to see all 8 of these community-based organizations that have made a huge impact on the area around them with giving back in all different types of ways to people. And I thought it was really amazing to be able to see not only what the organizations wanted to get if they were able to be offered the grant, but also what they will be giving back and what they have been giving back for years and years. So the service, the dedication, the hard work, the commitment, it was in all of these organizations that we got to see and hear from virtually. And it was such a great thing to be able to witness for myself and my classmates. It inspired us to just participate in community service in whatever way that we can. So we want to give a huge shout out to all 8 organizations that participated in the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project, and a big shout out to our 2 winners, which were the Emergency Shelter of Northern Kentucky, as well as the Women's Crisis Center. Congratulations, and thank you so much.
All right. So Danielle's testimony always puts a smile on my face every time I either speak to her in person or see this video, because it really shows the joy that a lot of students have in having the opportunity to participate in this program. The Mayerson component has a significant real-time benefit to both the community and to students. We are in our 20th year of the program, and we have seen these benefits consistently over 20 years. Our faculty has published about 24 peer-reviewed articles on the benefits, mostly focused on the stewardship benefits. So what does that mean? That means civic engagement or being involved with the community. So that's understanding community needs and how to address those needs. We also have seen, though, and I think faculty, including Professor Bazzani and Dr. Filer, can attest academic benefits to incorporating this project into classes. And one missing piece of the puzzle that I feel happy to have been part of the team to fill in was how to evaluate those academic benefits. So what we learned is that student philanthropy is clearly a student success accelerator. And that's the research that I'd like to share with you today. Okay, so the Mayerson Project aligns with what we call high impact educational practices or high impact teaching practices. And these are recommended by the Association of American Colleges and Universities, and they are proven to support student success. Dr. D. Fink's research identified specific high impact teaching practices, active learning strategies to improve learning outcomes, to increase student engagement, and support student retention. By the very nature of the core program requirements, the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project aligns with the high impact teaching strategies, and I have them listed here. Courses include both team-based and individual coursework, specifically reflection, an essential component of experiential learning. The project is successful in both traditional and online classrooms. I'd like to give you an example. So here we have an image of a student from Professor Ronnie Chamberlain's costume design class. So she's in the theater department. And this student is preparing a doll for donation to a local nonprofit. The students polish their costume design skills by making these doll costumes. So you can see the doll costumes on the stands. And they do this instead of producing a full human size costume, they make several smaller ones for the dolls. And in this process, they also research local nonprofits, and they choose a nonprofit to receive the doll donation in addition to a grant award. And one of the nonprofits actually that they have chosen in the past, I think a few times now, is the Holly Hill organization, which is right around the corner from campus. They have an office literally right by Applebee's. So you can look for that sign right over there. But in all of the Mayerson courses, teachers create student-centered learning activities that connect the course content and learning objectives with the Mayerson Project. And students are in direct contact with the community through their work and in charge of the grant giving outcome. So here's another example. Education Empowers mural that honors the Southgate Street School, part of Newport's public art project. Two former Southgate students, one in her 70s and one in his 80s, visited NKU's art studio, told their stories to the students in two art classes, who in turn designed public art projects for Newport. So these are things that you can actually go and see in Newport right now. If you haven't already noticed, now at least you know the story behind them. So two NKU students are seen here working on the mural. And here we have another view. As faculty, we see the impact of the Mayerson Project firsthand in our students, but to really communicate the value of this engaging, meaningful teaching strategy, we collect data. Numerous faculty publications have been based on a collection of pre and post-survey data collection on student perceptions about the Mayerson Project and their academic success. And I'm emphasizing the word perceptions. These questions are based on a Likert scale, and this research has provided us with quantitative as well as qualitative data. So qualitative is the expression of opinions, and quantitative is numbers, more hard data. And I'll be going into a little bit more detail about this in the coming slides. So over the last 15 years of administering this survey, we have discovered two resounding conclusions over and over again when comparing the pre-test with the post-test results. Student answers have shown an increase in the awareness of community needs in our region, as well as their awareness of nonprofits. Students have also noticed an increased interest in service learning. And this is a sample of the survey tallies of a couple of those questions, just for you to view the percentages. When asked in the post-survey specifically about the impact of the Mayerson Project, about 73% to 92% of students said that the Mayerson Project had a positive or very positive impact in aspects such as their interest in the course, the learning of the material, application of information, functional life skills, and a desire to stay in school. All of these answers are very encouraging. But for our current study, we wanted to compare these student perceptions with quantitative data, so the hard facts. For example, students indicated that they desired to stay in college and complete a degree. But did these students enrolled in a Mayerson class actually do this at a different rate than those students who did not participate in the Mayerson Project? So this is what we wanted to measure. We examined rates of graduation and retention. What we did was to compare time-specific cohorts or groups of students exiting a Mayerson course to the corresponding cohort of all students at NKU. So we basically put freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, and then we divided them up. Have they taken a Mayerson course? Have they not taken a Mayerson course? And then we did a comparison. So I give an example. That is to say that first semester sophomores taking a Mayerson course were compared to all first semester sophomores. And students are blinded during enrollment. They do not know until they show up for the first day of class, or if they have a heads up from their professor, that they have enrolled in a Mayerson course. So this is unique and really good for this type of research because it eliminates what might otherwise be a large source of potential bias to the analysis. So these statistics, full disclosure that I'm going to present, were tabulated by my wonderful colleague, Dr. Joseph Nolan in the math department, right down the hall from us. I have to full confession that I don't understand them as well as he does, but I'll do the best that I can with any questions. But graduation rates. We were amazed by what we found with graduation rates, and I believe that is a primary reason that the study has received national interest. For all cohorts, from freshmen to juniors, the Mayerson cohorts graduate at a rate that appears to be at least 10 percentage points higher than the university as a whole. In particular, the graduation rate for students taking a Mayerson course during their sophomore year may be as much as 30 percentage points higher than the overall cohort. While larger sample sizes are still desirable for better precision, and we should have those over the next few years, these numbers are robust and very promising. The study has taken as a whole is strongly suggestive of at least a 15 to 20 percentage point across the board difference between the Mayerson and non-Mayerson groups. The study also examined both retention and completion of credit hours. For retention, there were some noted gains in some cohorts, but sample sizes were not yet large enough to provide the statistical evidence needed. We hope to better study this in the near future. For credit hour completion, while statistical methods for analysis are less robust, we can see here that the students in the Mayerson cohort had slightly greater credit hour completion rates in the following 2 semesters as compared to the university as a whole. The most conservative estimate for the cohorts, all sophomores enrolling in Mayerson courses, would have better than a 38% 4-year graduation rate, and it could be much higher. For the 39 and 38 students in these cohorts, it was actually 53% and 63% respectively, but those are sample numbers and shouldn't be treated as precise population estimates. So one other thing I wanted to add, I guess, it didn't make it into our paper, but when we were finalizing our paper, we also noted decreased, I should say, drop rates. So students that had this Mayerson component were more likely to stay enrolled in the class than to drop it. So that was something we'd also like to investigate further. And I wanted to include this thank you slide because it has some of the logos of a lot of our funders. We have the Elsa Sewell Foundation, we have the Mayerson Foundation. And if you're curious about the history, the Mayerson Project was established in the year 2000, and it was a partnership with former President Jim Vitruba and the Mayersons, the Mayerson Foundation. And so that's how it got its name, through the Mayerson family, who has been extremely generous over these 20 years and onward with providing support, financial support for us. We also have the Strauss Foundation, which is supported by Carol Schwartz, who also offers study abroad scholarships so generously to our students at NKU. So the Mayerson Project is another way that she supports our community. We have the Horizon Funds and the Scripps Howard Foundation. We also have Learn by Giving. And I wanted to also give a shout out to NKU's institutional research, which made this possible. They helped us gather all this data, which was a lot of data over 20 years. So they worked with us. The Burkhart Consulting Center is headed by Dr. Nolan. And so he was the primary statistician and helping me in the humanities understand all of this information. I definitely couldn't have done that without the team of Dr. Nolan, Dr. Megan Downing in organizational leadership, and Mr. Mark Nykirk, who's the executive director of the Scripps Howard Center for Civic Engagement. And that is where you can find the Mayerson Project. It's their largest program. So thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Dr. Larson. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Dr. Larson?
I have a question. Hi, this is Junko Agnew. Thank you very much for wonderful presentations. I learned a lot. And these presentations make me love our department and NKU more. I just love it. I know there are very successful projects for both of you. And but because I'm planning on doing this myself, I want to ask, are there anything you feel like, oh, I should have done differently if you're going to try again? Or do you have any advice for those who are planning on doing this in the future?
Mm-hmm. I think this could be a faculty discussion because Professor Bazzani, Dr. Filer, and I all have taught with the Mayerson Project. So I'm going to deflect that question to one of my 2 other colleagues because both of them have really done an amazing job with the Mayerson Project, and I'm sure have some ideas to share. Not all at once, as Dr. Filer likes to say.
Well, in my personal experience, it was an eye opener. I learned so much at the beginning that I wanted to do something like that and to connect my culture with a service learning project. So for me, it was an eye opener. I wouldn't change anything at all. For me, it was a challenge at the beginning, but thanks to Dr. Larson, I learned so much. She dedicated so many hours to help me understand how this works, because I wanted to make sure that I was following all the instructions, because this is not something that you can, let's see what happens, right? You have to follow, you have to have surveys, you have to make a plan, you have to connect the objective of the class with the objective of Mayerson. And then at the end, you have to be like how can I say this? You have to be an observer. You cannot influence the students. They have to do their own research. You cannot bring ideas for them. They have to do the work. So I feel like for me it was an inspiration, and I would do it again. I feel like there are so many things we can do as teachers, as professors, that we are learning every day something. And I feel like we're all like in this learning process. The students are learning, but we're also learning, and we're growing as professionals. And I love the idea of working for this department, because I feel like we are like a family. We are sharing, happy to share ideas. How can I help you? How can I do this better? And as I said, I'm so thankful with Dr. Connolly, Dr. Larson, Andrea, with all my colleagues that are always there for me if I need help. And also I would like to thank Nancy, because that question that she brought was really important. This is something that is my next step. So I couldn't be happier doing this type of project. That makes me so full. So I feel like I want to continue doing this, and I want to inspire my students and my colleagues too.
Yeah, I would add this. Mine keep morphing and mine keep changing. I don't think I have taught the same Mayerson project twice necessarily. So what I did at the beginning, I kind of followed the plan, the Mayerson plan. I think the reflections are really important. What Sandra was saying already, lots of planning, plan it ahead of time, give yourself really space and time to plan it out. And I would suggest maybe at the beginning to kind of follow the Mayerson plan until you have a hang of it. And then you can make it and morph it more into what you want it to be and change it and step away. I don't know if, I think that's probably what Dr. Larson or Kajsa would suggest as well, being our Mayerson liaison as well. And then you'll find with time that you'll morph it. And it will change a little bit. And I would encourage you to change it too, and not just get in the rut with it, because that's what I feel like makes it so fun, is that you can always mold it to different things as well. I had another question for Dr. Larson. So, okay, we got the data now that they are indeed staying in college, right? What do you think about the Mayerson project specifically is it that makes them stay and graduate?
Well, I think, I'm going to answer two things. One thing that comes to mind about our previous question about, what could you do differently? I think my best suggestion is very detailed instructions for students, because I've noticed it's great to have an element of flexibility and to constantly check in with your students. How are you doing in this project? How are you going? How are you advancing? What are you learning? So having regular check-ins. But I also feel that the detailed instructions offers a help for the project to go well. So an example is we're at the moment, right, where the students give a presentation and then we all have to vote. Not the professor, but the students have to vote, for what the winner is. So I like to give tips to the students about, well, two things. One, how to give a good presentation. And I learned this over time that I think it's useful. So for instance, it's a project with a lot of emotions involved. And I think when you have a lot of emotions involved and you you've worked so hard individually and as a group to get to know a nonprofit and to be their advocate. There's a lot of pressure. And then we have this added pressure that we're doing it in a foreign language too. So I try to provide those instructions. It's the rare time that I do it in English because for that same reason. But, you know, I try to offer them tips like, okay, at the start of your presentation, make sure to tell the rest of the class who you are and what you studied, because you might know, but they might not. So, you know, start out with the basics. And then the other thing I think is important, well, two other things. One is have a discussion with your students to think about what are our motivators to vote? How should we vote? Do we vote by the heart? Do we vote on if the nonprofits best connect with what we're studying? Do we vote based on some other factor, you know, like let's say first time a nonprofit that's never gotten an award versus one that's gotten $13,000 in the past. And, you know, we keep records. So those records are available for any faculty member teaching the Mayerson class to access. So I think those are a couple things. And then the other thing too, and I think both my Mayerson colleagues would agree with me, but this model is nationally admired. I'm not saying that to toot NKU's horn. It's just that we're one of the first, if not, well, we're one of the first, if not the first, philanthropy programs in the nation. What makes our program so unique is a lot of schools will have a philanthropy class or a philanthropy track, but it might be in social work. We have it all across campus in all disciplines. And there is no other program nationally that offers that. Just hands down, there is none. And our rosters of Mayerson classes, faculty self-select. They're, you know, so they say, I want to teach a Mayerson class, and we say, okay. And then I work with them and our team works with them to, you know, make sure that it goes well. So it's always changing. And if you're a little word on the street is that there might be a German Mayerson class coming up sometime, maybe in the future, we don't know. But if you're ever interested in seeking that out in, you know, ahead of time around registration, I might not always know what is coming up ahead, but I can always, feel free to send me an email and I'll always try to kind of give you a guess of what might be offered so you could keep that in mind. I think it's an experience, and I think our current president is an advocate, not necessarily of Mayerson, but definitely experiential learning, and wants to make sure that all students have experience with that. From the faculty side, my other suggestion too is there's interest nationally, and so I'd encourage anyone, even the first time thinking about the Mayerson project, because I think it helps you plan your class, but do you want to give a survey? You know, what kind of feedback might you want to gather from students? Because I think most people find it such an empowering and motivating experience, both faculty and students, that you want to share it. You get really excited. So thinking about that also is a good suggestion. Okay, Dr. Filer, I'm sorry, I forgot. Oh, what was the other question again?
Well, this is more like to kind of help this along, even though we don't want to go on and on here about this, but could Dr. Filer and Dr. Larson and Professor Bazzani tell Dr. Agnew which of your classes did you do the Mayerson project in? And just to give an idea, like throw out some of the topics that connected to nonprofits in the community, just to give an idea to, stimulate her creative juices as far as what Japanese class might she incorporate the Mayerson into. Don't all speak at once, like Dr. Larson said earlier.
I'm just looking up the spreadsheet too that I can share. I've taught it in basically almost all of my upper level classes, but composition, conversation, so SPI 304, SPI 480, which is a culture class. I taught, Dr. Filer and I actually did a joint class on Spain, Germany, and the Holocaust, and we used the Mayerson as a connector between our two classes. I did SPI 480, the art of Spain. So we studied art in the community. We studied art from Spain. I had students write a paper about what is the value of art in the world. And SPI 481, I've taught it with women writers. So women and studying women's needs in the community and women's needs globally.
Thanks.
And guys, if I can interrupt a little bit, I just wanted to say that the Mayerson courses that Kajsa has been doing has given like a super great visibility to the university, to the program, to the students, the networking that you can do through, because like one of the very first $1,000 was given by Kajsa's class to the Su Casa Hispanic Center. So it immediately, you know, like people already know, and they're looking forward to more classes. And just very recently, a neuroscience class. So it's a neuroscience class taught by Dr. Christine Curran. She gave $1,000 to the Esperanza Latino Center. So I mean, neuroscience, and that came out of like a big surprise. So it comes from all around the campus, but I take my hat off to congratulate you guys, because this is really very, very generous, and it's a lot of work. The instructors don't get paid, and it's more homework that you add to your courses. So you see that they're doing that. I'm not adding that to my courses yet because it's really a lot of work. It's a commitment. So I congratulate you guys for that.
I was just thinking I wanted to add something that I did in one of my classes. And I did it from like video gaming. We played Elder Scrolls Online and then picked out topics out of this video game that are socially relevant, like, you know, video games. So of course, violence, right? There's drug addiction in there and all these things. And something that always irked me a little bit is, while I love the project, it's not realistic to think that you just walk down the street and somebody's like, hey, here are $2,000. Go donate them somewhere. And so that was always something was like, eh. And so what I would do also is I'm gonna, if that's okay, just really quickly project our fundraising website, which is Impact. And I use this website to also have my students conduct fundraisers, which then the Mayerson would match. Trying to find, here's our video game class, for example. It's called Quest for Transitions, and
look at that number of amount raised.
Yeah, and that was, I think we were only like 9 students or so. So they really were amazing about this, and you can do like little updates on here as well, which we. Oh my God, was I muted the entire time?
No.
Oh, wow.
Can you play the video?
Do you guys want to? Okay.
Yeah, because I love it.
I don't want to say over, but yeah. It plays. I haven't tried it, so.
Does anyone have a friend or family member that has been affected by drug addiction?
We're on a mission to learn German through immersive digital gameplay.
And have found that social issues depicted in many popular digital games
reflect those in the daily lives through the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area.
One of the social issues depicted is drug addiction.
From 2002 to 2014, the heroin death toll has only been rising in the tri-state area.
As a team, we identified Transitions, Inc. as one of the many local organizations aiming to combat drug addiction.
The mission of Transitions is to help individuals transition from the pain of addiction
to the gratitude of recovery
by providing long-term treatment and comprehensive support services.
The mission of Transitions Residential Program Expansion Project 180
is to expand capacity to 180 beds,
to admit individuals within 180 minutes,
and to assist individuals in turning their lives around 180 degrees.
Together with the Mayerson Student Philanthropy Project, we are on a quest
to raise funds for Transitions Residential Program Expansion Project 180.
Please donate to fight alongside us against the war on drug addiction.
Thank you, Danke. North up.
So that is another alternative to maybe conduct a fundraiser and then have the Mayerson match these funds, for example. And I'd also like to point out that it would be good to know ahead of time how you want to use the money, because certain Mayerson money is connected with certain expectations. So it would help. Kajsa can say a little bit more about that perhaps as well.
Just that some of the donors, as I mentioned, I think earlier, requested investment in certain areas. So for instance, one semester I was assigned Arts Wave funding, and I was lucky that I knew in advance that I had that. So I actually designed my composition and conversation class around that topic. So in every instance possible, I incorporated readings about art or paintings, or I actually collaborated with a Guatemalan artist friend who lives up in Mason, and we visited her studio and she gave us a tour of her house and her studio and did it in Spanish. And then we did a little workshop with her in the class. We bought art supplies and did a really unique kind of layering with vellum paper, layering and drawing using magazines, tracing magazine pictures from magazines and layering them and creating our own artistic piece, which is what she also does for her art. And then I had the final paper. Instead of writing a traditional research paper about a topic, I made it a requirement to either study an artist or an art form, so flamenco guitar or Pablo Picasso, or talk about the need and the importance of art in the community, and tie in those elements of personal experience into a research paper, a bigger, broader research paper about art globally. That also drew upon academic sources, of course. So the Mayerson Project does not replace academic study, but it complements it, I'd say. So, are you excited? Are you excited to maybe take a Mayerson course sometime? I hope.
From I took Dr. Feiler's German immigration course with the where she had the Mayerson Project, and I know personally that I would like to take, and I'd like to take a course like that again. I'm not sure I'll get the chance in my couple semesters I have left, but no, I say it was a great experience, and I think one of the something that I really enjoyed about it was it really got you a bit more connected with a local community, at least in my experience it did, because it was German immigration, so we were finding nonprofit organizations that had to do with German heritage in the Cincinnati area. And I know I learned about all these organizations I didn't know exist, like the German Heritage Museum, the Cincy Deutsch, the German American Language School, and I didn't know before existed, and even has helped me in my other areas. I was able to go to the German American, go to the museum and use that, and use the information I got from there for a history, for a writing paper in a history course. So I think it's not specifically just academically, but also like not sure what word I would want to use, not networking, but it broadens our knowledge of our own community, our local community, which is something that you don't really get in courses normally. depending on the course.
Oh, sorry. I can share if you're curious. Let's see. Just to give you an idea, these are all the courses that we're currently running with the Mayerson Project. So you'll see these, course numbers, and here are the names if we need to interpret, but, costume design. So this is theater, social work, public administration at the graduate level, neuroscience, organizational leadership, law, honors, history, environmental science, English, upper level and lower level. This is communication, anthropology, biology, and it changes every year, but this is geography. So to give you an idea, we have some faculty that teach Mayerson pretty much every semester. And then we're always trying to find new interest. So the geography was a new class last semester, and I'm trying to remember if we have a new one this semester. I don't think so, but it's COVID time, so things are a little trickier right now. But I think going into the fall, I just had meeting, a mid-semester check-in with Mayerson faculty earlier this afternoon, and I administered a doodle poll of faculty who are interested or intending to teach at the Mayerson Project for next summer, fall, and spring. And I think just a quick tally was something like, we do this for budgetary reasons, but I think we're needing to budget like $100,000 or something like pretty big. Like the demand or interest in Mayerson for this next coming year, fingers crossed, is good for faculty. So that means what's good for faculty is good for students and good for the community as well. So jump on board. Anyone interested? Yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any more questions or comments for either of our presenters today?
I just wanted to say thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think I cut off Megan, and I'm going to be quiet. Sorry, Megan.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I know in Professora Bazzani's course, she has mentioned that your network is your net worth. And I was actually part of a Mayerson project, although we sadly couldn't finish it because of COVID. And just at the beginning, when I was like reaching out and we were sharing our organizations, I really felt like more part of the community because I'm not from here, and just like learning about it and reaching out to people, it really is like expanding your network, and I just really appreciate that. So I think it's great. Yeah.
I'll put it in the chat. I'm just going to do that, but we have this last fall and the spring before, and this spring as well, we have these virtual award ceremony sites. So if anyone kind of wants to check out what has been happening, let me just pull up the links for you, and I'll put them in the chat for everyone to, if you want to just kind of poke around. And that also has more information about the Mayerson Project and Scripps Howard. I should also mention that Scripps Howard the Mayerson Project isn't the only thing that Scripps Howard does. Scripps Howard Center for Community Civic Engagement. So that's located in Griffin Hall, our offices. And they do a lot of really neat things. One is a 6 at 6 lecture, and it involves faculty and students. And originally it was 6 lectures at 6 p.m. for $6. And now it's definitely not just 6 lectures. It's 12 or 10 or I don't know, many more lectures, but it's still at 6 p.m. and I don't think it costs $6. So the time is right now the only thing that's 6. But it's a chance for faculty to do exactly this, to share research with the community and students, but it's also a chance for students to share their research, or if any of you have been involved in some neat projects with your professors, we're always looking to share ideas, and it doesn't have to do with philanthropy necessarily. For instance, I think just this last week, Dr. John Cullick from the English department gave a joint talk about Harper Lee's To Kill a Watchman and To Kill, or is that the right title? Well, To Kill a Mockingbird, and then the sequel that came out. So I don't organize that as much, but I can definitely put you in touch with the folks, the hardworking folks that do. So if that's of interest, either as an attendee or as a participant, that's something that we plan pretty far in advance too. So I'm sure they're probably thinking already for the next year. There's also Democracy Squared. So that's a chance to talk about, if you've noticed by the library, well, probably not lately, but you may have walked by the Einstein Bagels, and they have like a whiteboard, or they have different places on campus for you, and they'll put a question up and you can write ideas. So, or comments about certain things. So that's one of the small initiatives that they do. But the Scripps Howard is a pretty neat resource that does a lot. They were really involved with the previous election, not with any particular side, but just to get people engaged and to vote and get registered to vote. So that was another big effort that happened during COVID. So just as students at NKU, whether you take a Mayerson class or not, or if you're interested in Mayerson or not, I always tell my students, you're paying the big bucks to be at NKU. So you really should take advantage of all the things that you can that are part of your tuition. The gym, exercise? No, the gym, the career center, anything that, 6 at 6 or the Scripps Howard Center, work with your faculty mentors, because these are the types of things that are really going to make your college memorable and meaningful, and are really going to get you ready to do great things. You're already doing great things, but I love going by the motto, don't say no. And that's how I got involved with the Mayerson Project as a brand new faculty. I had no idea what I was doing, but I said yes. And I just put my best effort in and taught it over and over again. I've helped, our faculty also give it a go, and they didn't say no. So we can do it, and we will do it. And that's my little parting suggestion for all of you.
All righty. Well, if that's everything, and on questions, then I say we go ahead and formally end the 2021 German Club faculty lectures. And I'd like to thank Professor Bazzani and Dr. Larson again so much for coming to share your experience with us with the Mayerson Project. It's a topic that I'm very interested in. I'm happy to see that there was a lot of interest in this topic. So again, thank you for presenting, and till next time. Oh, yes.
Thank you, German Club, for organizing. Thank you, Adam, for being a great host and moderator of this event. I want to chime that in there as the department chair. So yeah, thanks to all of you in the German Club for doing this. Keep on with it, because it's a really great thing for us to get together and get to know more of what's going on in other parts of the department and our faculty are doing. And yeah, so it was really great to be here today with you all.
And you're really lucky to have such an amazing German professor. So stick with it, and you're doing great.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure to host this and give the department some transdisciplinary communication with students and faculty. So, and I'm going to say a quick little note of thank you, Frau Jentsch, who's here for being our advisor that oversaw the origination of this event.
Well, it was a student idea, and student ideas are always the best. If a student has an idea like this, you go with it. And it was a German minor's idea a few years ago, and it's been the right thing to do.
All right, so again, and thank you everyone for coming. I'll hopefully see some faces next spring when we'll have our next faculty lecture. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
You as well.
Thanks.
Bye. Tschüss. Tschüss. Auf Wiedersehen.